I was, let's see if I can actually get in a picture here this time. Um, Not that it matters, but some people like that better. Um, so speaking of fire, right? I had a discussion the other day with a firefighter, union firefighter, not a volunteer, union firefighter. Try to fire me kind of guy, right? Isn't that funny? Can't fire the fireman, right? Why would we ever want to fire a fireman, right? I mean, because that would be dumb. I mean, like, what if there's a big one of those and it's consuming um, your family or your possessions or your livelihood, right? The thing is the people that fight fire are a fireman or a firewoman, right? But those who profit off of it are um, a union firefighter, and those who expect to receive a pension for the rest of their life for a certain number of years of service, um, or could be motivated towards helping things happen a certain way to ensure their job security. And so I was having a Facebook discussion with one of these union firefighters, and he was making all sorts of points as to why a 4 minute response time is better than an 8 minute response time, and the proximity of a station and all the equipment to an area of town, specifically when it's a lot of rich, very expensive homes, it is a necessity um, for the burden of the masses that live in the area, right? We need to pay more taxes so we can have more equipment. We can have these things that we want to have, right? Well, it came down to a point where he was really convinced that more money should be taken from people who are already struggling to support more buying of equipment and very, very expensive buildings to justify budgets and to um, so you can have a different gym to work out at, or a different lazy boy to recline into while they're watching TV. Big rooms, and like I've been in these firehouses, and I mean, there's like big rooms with big giant screen TVs, which it makes sense, right? I mean, you're not going to be busy all the time, right? Because I mean, you got maintenance crews taking care of the equipment, right? I mean, why would we need to train the firefighters who work on the equipment to maintain the equipment? I mean, I know they do on some levels, but there's a whole lot that. Let me explain. When there was a fire out here a couple years ago, the truck that rolled out here was from a volunteer fire department, and it was a 1970s like Ford like F500 or something, like a big truck, like a brush truck. And I'm like, oh wow, I mean that old Ford boy, she's still doing her job. And all the guys, they like that truck. They're like, well, I know it hardly ever breaks. Um, we just take care of it. But so I made a point to this union firefighter. I said, what if instead of you lobbying for more equipment, you started lobbying for architecture and construction methods to be less flammable, right? Because if your goal is saving life and property, right, then our goals should recognize the benefits of like hempcrete. I mean, because like right now, I could have, if I had a hempcrete box, that looked like a stove, right? I could have burned all of that material in that, and the heat would have just gone straight up. I mean, I don't know if I don't know, well, you can't see, you don't feel it, but when it's really tall, it's really, really hot. And hi there, kitty cat. How are you? This is the brand new feral that is hanging out here now. Sometimes. um, anyway, I said, there's ways that we can be improving our current methods of construction so that they are not as susceptible to fire. Well, he wanted nothing to hear that. He deleted the whole conversation. It was one of those threads on like a group in Facebook, and the first person that starts it, they have the option to delete that whole thread, and that's what he did because I challenged the reality of the truth that he was holding. I mean, if he thinks that he's protecting and serving through a union fire department and making, I don't know what the guys are making. I think they're making over 100,000 a year, which to do a dangerous job is um, suitable compensation, right? I mean, I was doing a dangerous job in the military, and I was only getting paid like 40,000 a year, right? I mean, they gave me a little shitty house to live in, but um, but yeah. Anyway, there's been a lot of manipulation in every area of public service that isn't working for the people, right? I mean, like right here, I have had the code enforcers come and yell at me because I did this, even on a smaller scale. I had a smaller fire, but yet I had a code enforcer come all the way out here, out to my property, and yell at me for burning weeds, right? But I'm like this is what is natural, and I'm just having a ceremonial fire. I'm taking these components that have weathered the winter, right? That would be easily consumed in the summer if there was a fire to come through here, and I'm using them in a way that it is safe and effective at fire remediation. But we get this group of public servants that is assumed an authority that they don't possess. I mean, who in their right mind would hire a bunch of overpaid, overweight, lazy, narcissistic psychopaths to rule over us, right? I mean, because most people aren't that way. Most people, like everybody up here, when they drive by and they see me burning a pile of these thistles and these tumbleweeds and stuff, the things that cause, I mean, fire. I mean, like just the other couple years ago, there was a fire moving at like 70 miles an hour across the desert. How how apocalyptic is that? That is scary, and it's hot. I mean, when you have a bunch of those tumbleweeds together, there is a lot of fuel right there. And in areas where people are infringing, both, I guess, on the desert, we're finding that when the wind blows, a lot of these tumbleweeds end up right next to houses, right? And these houses are being made out of petroleum and matchsticks. And if that happens right next to your home that's built out of petroleum, plastics, paints, um, and matchsticks, two by fours, two by sixes, it's pine. Pine burns fast, right? That's you don't want to really use pine in your wood stove to heat your home. It burns up too fast, right? But that's what we're building our houses out of. And then we're separating our houses from the earth, and we're um, having to insulate on all a minimum of six sides, right? Um, and it's expensive to do that. I mean, it's really expensive to keep. You're insulating the house from the earth, right? By separating it from the earth by the use of a crawl space, right? A lot of houses are on crawl spaces. So the earth is staying at a constant temperature when you get down there a little bit. Just even just 3 or 4 feet, it's at a pretty constant temperature of. What are you doing? What are you doing, crazy? I don't know if you can see it, but the cat's actually trying to play here, so that's cool. Um, so Earth, getting in the Earth, it's a constant temperature, and so it eases the burden on our energy bills to cool or heat our homes. And if we do that, it's actually pretty easy to create these things, because I mean, like some of these areas around here that looks like I'm down in the earth, they were created by a shovel, right? Or they were created by a hydraulic tool, like a backhoe or an excavator, depending on the size. I mean, if it's a big size, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till I have access to a machine. You know, if it's little holes, you just dig them by hand. And really, I mean, I've dug a hole big enough in one day that I could live out of for some time. Right? And so, in one day of my intense effort, I was able to create shelter um, that could last me a really long time, and it would be easy to cool and easy to heat. And yeah, I mean, I may not have all of the creature comforts of the modern standard apartment. But that standard apartment that people are living in, that's made out of petroleum and matchsticks, right? But somebody else put together and has offered to them is costing them between 15 on average. And somebody somewhere is going to say, it's cheaper over here. I'm like, I know, but those aren't the places that people really want to live, right? So the most of the folks that want to live somewhere and they're doing that, they're paying 1,500 or more per month for a box to live in or live out of, right? Because they're only there maybe 16 hours a day because they have to work at least 8 of it to be able to afford it, right? And then they're asleep for 8 hours of the day. And so they're only using a little more space than what I'm in right now, right? And and then they like to go to the gym, right? And you do that twice a day. So you spend an hour or an hour and a half, with showers and, massage and, um, the sauna and maybe the pool and, all these things. Well, and then if you go to the library too, to, get the free Wi-Fi and, because that's expensive. Holy shit, right? I mean, just to access the internet, something that everybody should have access to. I mean, really, that can change the world. When everybody has access to this learning device that's the intelligence that's available online, YouTube and all of the different um, deals that we have available to us. um, there's no reason for the ignorance, right? I mean, there is mass ignorance happening. There's a lot of people spending a lot of time suffering supporting what they don't like. We got to learn to slow down. We got to learn to breathe. And if we're in stress and struggle all of the time, we are suffering. And if we're raising our kids in that, they are going to suffer too, right? We're perpetuating a cycle when we're supporting the things that we don't want. Luckily, there is another way, and that another way aligns with nature instead of what idols broadcasted over the television programming have shown us as to what is the normal, right? It's normal to have brand new clothes. It's normal to have a brand new car or a newer car, right? Because everybody has one, right? Why don't you have one? Personally, for me, I like the old stuff. It still lasts. It still works. Yeah, it doesn't have all the creature comforts of the newer ones, um, but as I find some of these creature comforts in wrecked newer cars, I implement them into my older cars, trucks. And then I can still have some of the creature comforts that people are experiencing in the new stuff, but without the price tag. I mean, some of these cars are $600, $700 a month, And then you got to have full coverage insurance because you didn't have enough money to pay for it all up front. And the insurance company needs to make sure that the bank is going to get their money if you wreck it or it stops working or whatever. There's just every aspect of our society, every aspect of what life is has been manipulated in little ways. Yes, I think people should have transportation. Yes, I think people should have shelter. Yes, I think people should have um, free access to healthy food. But I don't think that a farmer should have to grow it for you. See, that's the difference. Is we have people trying to control others and manipulating ways of accomplishing that instead of just doing a different way that supports the things we want to see. Right? I mean, because if you haven't noticed, our dollar is basically worthless. I mean, what I started working out, like when I started in this world and I started becoming compensated for my time, it was for $3 an hour. And yep, that was under the table. I mean, because minimum wage was like 3.35. But my grandpa says, well, he says, I'm gonna give you $3 an hour, just cash money. You're not gonna have to give somebody else a part of that because we've just made an agreement that you're gonna do what I've asked you to do, and I'll pay you $3 an hour for the hours that you give me while we're doing that. And I said, all right, that sounds fair. And I was making more than my buddy because my buddy wasn't making nothing, but he wasn't doing nothing. He was just playing video games. He was just sitting around getting fat, getting lazy. Was I was in shape, and I was learning job skills, and I was learning what things are called, and learning what life's about. And that's the difference, though. I mean, we have some people, some of my friends, they're still playing video games. They have spent 40, 50 years of their life playing video games. They don't know shit. They can't work on their own vehicles. They can't build their own homes. They can't grow their own food. And it's not that they can't. It's that they haven't been motivated towards that. And there's two things that get somebody motivated, right? It's either inspiration, and so you can set an example of options in how we can live life. And that's what I try to do now because I realize I'm like a lot of my mentors, they're dead. They're not here. They're not offering their wisdom to other people. And what I've gathered from them, I look to share to others. You know, I mean, I didn't know what I know until I know it. I mean, and if a person spent, oh, the other thing is pain, right? But they haven't had pain in their life because it's always warm where they sleep, right? Because somebody's stealing from somebody else to give them a check and no accountability for earning it, right? And then they give them a food card that they're buying soda and candy and potato chips and the things that aren't healthy, right? I mean, these things aren't healthy, yet it's being supported by theft and violence. Because if you don't pay what they've told you to pay, they will kill you. They will straight up kill you if you don't have the permissions in place and then you resist their authority of kidnapping you or extorting money from you. They will kill you. That is insane. Luckily, there is another way, but we have to start supporting these things, and we have to start respecting each other. See, that's a huge problem in the world today. We have a whole bunch of people not respecting each other, and I don't think it's malicious in what they're demonstrating is a lack of respect. But if you're taking away from somebody's time, you're taking away from somebody's energy, you're taking away from somebody's peace. or stress, or like, you're causing stress in their life. That is, that's straight up evil, right? I mean, that's straight up, you don't want it to happen to you, but yet you're doing it to others. I mean, we have so many people. These people, even the people that are operating as therapists, a lot of them have a therapist because what they know isn't working for them, right? They have a therapist because they that maybe they can manage themselves, but when they start to become introduced to everybody else's drama, if they don't know how to get rid of that, or how to realize that, I mean, all I can do, I can, when I'm talking with somebody, I know that I cannot change their life, except if some words I share resonate with them at a level that they can understand, and they can manage their right now moment in a different way. That is how change is created. But if a person isn't aware, see, that's the thing. With awareness, we're going to make decisions that align with things that we want in our life, right? For me, that's health, happiness, peace, and abundance. That's the four things that I focus on in my life to try to make my life the way I want it to be. So but that's the thing is, and the beauty of it is, we have free will, right? I mean, we all do, and so you get to choose for you, but you can only be making those choices when you're aware. And so, I'd like to share a way to become aware for you. As often as you can, become aware of your breath. And I have some friends that I suggest writing the word breathe right here. And um, you don't have to do anything permanent, but breathing is pretty permanent. So if you did decide to do a tattoo that would remind you to breathe, like one of my friends, we did the Sanskrit symbol for breathe up the side of her arm, and she's been able to change her life by remembering to breathe. And in the right now moment when you're breathing, do you want to be consuming drugs that are killing you and taking you away from this life experience? No, probably, right? I mean, if you can choose how you are experiencing your life right now, and your world is peaceful, the area around you is peaceful, is calm, and it's abundant in resources that are available to us to create shelter, to create food, to create clean water, to create healthy landscapes. Do you want to participate in that, or do you want to keep supporting unconsciously, without awareness, the things that are happening in the world today? The bird says, "Get out of here! I got a nest right here. What are you doing? What are you doing?" Oh, it's Raven. Hi, Raven. Anyway, um, sorry, I get distracted, but it's good distractions. It's nature. It's things living peacefully until it's hungry, and then the hungry little cat is gonna not be so nice to the little mouse, or the bird that comes a little too close. But then it's like an upgrade, right? You get the bird becomes a cat, literally, right? And then it becomes a turd, or part of it. So anyway, yeah, I just figured I'd talk long enough that that's no danger, and Um, one more thing on that. Okay, so people are building houses out of hemp, right? People are building houses out of rammed earth. People are building houses out of bottles and concrete. People are building houses out of rock, right? And like castles, they've stood for thousands of years so far. Well, it doesn't have to be something the size of a city. I mean, we have guns now. It's pretty. If everybody has a gun in their pocket, that's the biggest militia in the world right there. And being that 90, I would say that 99% of us, from all the people that I meet and talk with, I would say that 99% of us are actually pretty decent folks. They wouldn't steal or hurt somebody else. They wouldn't steal from or hurt somebody else. You know, um, and I consider that as like kind of a do no harm, take no shit. I mean, and if the 99% of us, um, used the tool in our pocket when somebody is doing harm to somebody else, um, it wouldn't be very popular for people to be doing harm to other people, right? But right now we have police protecting criminals, right? They're protecting the criminal. Hey, no, you stay down. You can knock that camera over. And then I'm done. I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. What's going on? Don't bite me. Don't bite my nose. You're little, but fine, but fierce, right? You're a little bit fierce, right? Yeah. So the police are protecting the criminals more than they're protecting people from becoming a victim, right? And then the just us system is basically making it a revolving door where the criminal might even be out on the streets before the cop is done filling out all of his reports and done with his shift, right? That's nuts, you know. But you can get a piece of paper saying that violent person can't touch you or can't come within 500 feet or something, right? Because that works. Yeah, that works. And the thing is you don't need to have like a. I mean, you can have whatever you want. I mean, because that's your free will. But I mean, even like a little tiny thing that's like this big that maybe isn't really comfortable to use, but it's available to you, and somebody comes up and starts trying to push their will on you in a violent way, you can just touch the little button and it makes them go away, right? It removes the threat that you were just experiencing. Imagine if every horror movie, if the would-be victims would have just had a, one of these things, right? Because then you had this really scary guy coming at you with a chainsaw, and then, and then the movie's over. The movie is over. It's not even. It's There's no sequels. There's no more fear. There's hopefully somebody caught it on video, and then you can add that to the zombie kills of a week, right? I mean, because we basically are. Well, if you look around, we're in the apocalypse. We have people with rotting flesh walking around on the streets, consuming drugs that um, are killing them regularly. I mean, that's what fentanyl was originally designed for. It was like end of life plan, right? But now they're pushing it on the streets really cheap, and that's to reduce the, my opinion, for entertainment purposes only. Right? My opinion on that is that it's a reduction of population of those who are most dependent on the system, and those are the ones that have probably been harmed the most by the system, and they're the ones that are very aware that the system is broken. And those are the ones that are very aware of how insane the world is right now. And so, and they don't know the solution. They can't implement a solution because they don't have the money to do that, right? And so they escape their situation in the most efficient way they know how, and that's been through whatever they can do to escape the right now moment. So my goal is building that right now moment in a way that you don't want to escape from it. You breathe in deeply, you exhale completely, slow and deliberate breath. And then you ask yourself, while you're making that slow and deliberate breath right now, what can I control about me? What's the next best thing that I want to do? What do I want to create? How do I want to experience my life? And when you're asking yourself these questions often enough, you start doing the things that that help you get to where you want to be, right? And when you start taking the steps to get where you want to be, that's where you find yourself. And really, I mean, 20 years ago, oh well, no, a little more longer than that, because I've been here for 24 years, here in this spot, changing the desert into an oasis, right? But if I wasn't where I wanted to be, so let's say 26 years ago, right? I'll start making changes to get where I want to be. I'll put one foot in front of the other, one action after another. And then you change your experience by changing what you do. Like this guy. I don't know if you can see him, but he's just being a cat in the most natural way of him being a cat. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be me in the most natural way of being me. I've learned more from nature than I have from schools. I didn't pay much attention there. I didn't like being in a box that looked like a prison, with meals being served on plates just like prisoners, being bussed around just like prisoners, being yelled at and told to believe what I'm told because they said so. Sorry, that's not going to get my obedience. But my mom holding me accountable to doing the things that are expected to be done in life, and being a person that it isn't pushing my will on others, was important. To learn accountability. She taught me the natural laws of cause and effect, and I'm thankful for that. So anyway, I think I've talked long enough, and the fire's out, so I can go stomp on that last little smoldering bit of smoke and head into town. Oh my goodness, look at you.